Hi all, welcome to Cyber Warfare Lab's AWS Cloud Red Team course. In this module, we will discuss about one of the services provided by AWS, is EBS, Elastic Block Storage. It's basically a block storage services provided by AWS. So block storage means you can attach the EBS to your EC2 instance and you can store the data on it. So it will be treated like your, you have a computer and you attach the hard disk on this computer. So you can, detach it and you can attach to another, EC2 instance. So let's discuss about what is EBS, what are the components there in the EBS, and how we can use the EBS for our red teaming operations. How, from the security standpoint of view, how EBS will help us to perform a red teaming exercise on the AWS environment. So let's discuss each and every step one by one. So the first thing is, what is EBS? Elastic Block Storage. So Amazon Elastic Block Storage is a block storage system used for store persistent data. Amazon EBS is used for EC2 instance by block level storage volume. So that means you can see here in this diagram, we have one EBS which is here, and we can attach the EBS to this EC2 instance. So it's just like you have a laptop and you attach your hard disk to this laptop. So it will act as if to store the data in a persistent manner. So it will contain the critical data bit, because EC2 have some of source code, some of the keys, some of the credentials in there in this instance. You can attach a multiple EBS to one of the instance. So suppose just like your hard disk, you have multiple volume, or you can attach a multiple hard disk to one of the computer. Same like we can attach a multiple EBS to instance. And one more thing, when you launch one instance, by default you have to choose like the size, the volume, and if it's encrypted or not. All these things will be taken care of by default when you launch the instance. So let's discuss, or let's see how practically it's look like. So you can see here in dashboard we have these two EC2 instance. You can see here when I click this instance, and when you go for this storage section, you can see here there is a root device name where your operating system is stored. This is the storage which is attached to your EC2 instance. And you can see it's a EBS type of devices here. The volume size is this one, device name is this one, and this is attached to your your one of the EC2 instance, and it's not encrypted. So that means one EBS can only be attached to one EC2 instance, but multiple EBS also can attach to one EC2 instance, but it's not vice versa. Vice versa means you can't attach one EBS to multiple EC2 instance, and you can store your file system, you can store your other data in EBS. Okay, so let's discuss about the component which EBS contain. So let's move to the volume. So you can see here, volume basically is a durable block level storage device that you can attach to your instance. After you attach a volume to your instance, you can use it as you would use as a physical hard drive. So it's basically treated as a hard disk, external hard disk. So suppose if you have a computer, you can have one internal hard disk and one external hard disk. So there may be chance that both internal hard disk and external hard disk have the same EBS. So you can attach multiple EBS. We can attach a multiple EBS volume to a single instance, definitely. So you can see here how we can create the volume. So basically, to creating a volume, you can create the volume by two methods. One thing is, you can see here in this diagram. So in EBS, it's basically provide a volume services. You can create a new volume there. It will directly create the volume. You have to assign the size of this volume, what type, is it encrypted or not, and you can create this volume. Another one is you can create the volume from Snapshot. So suppose if you have EC2 instance, you take the snapshot, you can create the volume for this snapshot. Volume is the one which can be attached to EC2 instance. You can't directly attach the snapshot to this EC2 instance. You can't. You have to first create the snapshot to a volume, and then only you can attach the volume to this snapshot. So let's see how it's look like it practically. So you can see here in this sections, EC2 instance sections, I'm going here, and this is the volume section. This is the elastic block storage sections here. So you can see here by default, when you launch instance, there is one volume is created when you launch instance. So you can see here, these are the two volume which is attached to this instance. You can see here, this is already attached in use, and this is attached to this instance ID. Let's go here. This is attached to this instance ID, and second one is attached to this instance ID. You can create a multiple volume here. Just right click on the volume. You have to specify the type of the volume you have. Generally it's a SSD GPU2 by default, size, and availability zone. This is really important. So if you have EC2 instance on this region, US East 2A or any region, you have to create the volume on those availability. So this should be in your mind. So it's basis of the region as well as availability zone. Suppose if you have EC2 instance on a particular region and particular availability zone, you have to create the volume on those availability zone. Then only you can attach this volume to your EC2 instance. And last one is you have to. This is the feature which is mainly organization use. You can encrypt the volume when you are going to attach to EC2 instance. So this is how you can create the volume. Once you create the volume, you can see there is already one volume. You can click on, you can attach this volume to one of the EC2 instance which is running there. So you can have a multiple EBS or volume to single EC2 instance. There may be one will be the primary, which is stored for a file system, and second one is just like your external hard disk, which will be used for storing other purpose data. Availability zone is really important in this section. So this is how you can create the volumes. And when you're talking about when you create a volume or when you create a snapshot, it will be stored there in S3, but it's not publicly accessible. But the main storage, whereas when you create the snapshot or when you create a volume, it will be stored in the S3. Let's discuss how we can do this in operations. So volume is this one. You can attach this volume. You can create a new volume. You can deattach it. You can create a snapshot for this volume also. This is the services which comes under EBS. This is how you can create the volume by two methods. One is volume, second one is a snapshot. So you can see here, if you already have a snapshot in these sections, you have a snapshot. There is two snapshots. You can create the volume from this snapshot. So there is two methods to create the volume, and volume is the only one which can attach to a EC2 instance. So this is the important thing when you're going to exfiltrate the data, when you're performing red teaming, and if you found that there is a snapshot is available in this particular availability zone, you can create a volume for this snapshot, and then you can attach to your EC2 and you can exfiltrate the data from there. So we are in our coming section we will discussing about how you perform red teaming and how you can exfiltrate the data from those EBS systems. Okay, so this is all about the volume. Let's discuss about the second thing, snapshot. So basically, snapshot is a backup of EBS volume. So suppose you have a data, and if you want to take a backup of those data, you can create the snapshot. So you can create the snapshot of running instance. So suppose there is EC2 instance where we attach EBS. You can create the snapshot from there, and second thing, you can create the snapshot of newly created volume. So it's stored in S3 bucket, but it's not publicly accessible, but it's stored in S3 bucket. We can attach a snapshot to EC2. So how we can attach the snapshot to EC2? First, you have to create the volume, and then you can attach it. Snapshot can be used as a volume or as a AMI. Yeah, that's really important. Snapshot is because if your snapshot we directly took from EC2, that means it's contain the file system. So you can create as a AMI also, because it's contain the file system, all the architectures look like, and it will contain your operating system data there. So you can use it there. So you can see here in the snapshot section, this is the snapshot, but how we can create? You can create the snapshot directly by volume, EBS volume section. So if you have multiple volume, you can create the snapshot. Second thing, you can create the snapshot of running EC2 instance, where we attach the EBS, which is the primary EBS, and you can use this instance to create the snapshots. This is how you can create the snapshots. Let's see how it's look like, how we can use it. So you can see here, when you click on the snapshot sections, you can find out there is two snapshot. So you can create the snapshot. When you go for a create the snapshot, you can create the snapshot by specifying the volume or instance. So suppose you can choose the volume. So there is 3 volumes already there, and there is a snapshot instance. What are the instances running there? So you can create the snapshot, all these methods. So this is how you can create the snapshot. There's one more thing you can. So snapshot maybe contain the data only if it's a volume which is contained, not the file system but normal data. So it will the snapshot is also contain the data. But there may be chance that if you directly taking the snapshot of EC2 instance which contain the data, that means the file system itself. So this is also important. And third thing is if you have a volume which is encrypted and which is attached to EC2 instance, when you are going to taking a snapshot is also encrypted by default. So you can't change this one. So you can see here in this sections we have a 2 snapshot. One is encrypted and other one is not encrypted. So you can create the volume using these snapshots. So when you click it here, and this is, suppose this is encrypted snapshot. When you're going to create a volume from there, by default it is encrypted volume. So it's vice versa. So once your volume is encrypted and you're creating a snapshot, it will be encrypted. When your snapshot is encrypted and you are creating the volume, it will be encrypted. So it is really important to understand when you performing red teaming. So what key generally is used to encrypted, how we can attach to EC2 instance, how we can exfiltrate the data from there. So this is how you can create it. This is a key management system, one of the services provided by AWS. We will discuss in our coming sections how KMS work. So you can see here, this is the ARN, key ARN, which is used to encrypt this volume. So this is how snapshots look like. Okay, so I think this is all about this thing. You can't directly attach the snapshot to EC2. You have to first create the volume and then you can attach it. But you can create the snapshot using the EC2 as well as the volume you have. Okay, so this is all about these things. Third one is encryption. So basically encryption ensures the security of both data at rest and data in transmit between instance and its attached EBS storage. Amazon EB encryptions use AWS key management services that we already discussed. So you can have your customer key as well as the AWS managed key to creating the volume and a snapshot. So it is really important because most of the organization, what they're doing, they have their encrypted snapshot. So when you're going to attach to this snapshot, so suppose you have a volume which is encrypted and you can attach to EC2. EC2 should have rights to decrypt this thing. Second thing, if there is an encrypted volume which is already attached to EC2, you can take a snapshot. When you are going to take a snapshot, the snapshot is also encrypted. So when you're going to attach to another snapshot for exfiltrating the data, you have to ensure that the EC2 have sufficient rights to decrypt this snapshot or volume which is attached to. So this is how you can identify if it's encrypted snapshot, if it's not encrypted. And what is the difference between volume and a snapshot, how we can create the volume, how we can create the snapshot. So this is all about EBS. Let's discuss how we can enumerate using command line utility, how we can perform a data exfiltrations. So we are going to create a snapshot, then we are going to create a volume, and then we can exfiltrate the data. Maybe data which is a file system where we have all the passwords and other critical informations, and there may be another EBS which is used to store data which is not the file system but the data which is important for an organization, which is help us to perform a further red teaming activities. So we can perform data exfiltration, or we can say credential access, because you got the credential, which is where we found some key of an EC2 instance, or just like if it's a we create a snapshot for RDS. Basically, there is a RDS services running there, and you can create a snapshot from them. You can attach, you can exfiltrate the data, and so basically you can do all the operations. You can, from this EC2 instance, you can exfiltrate the data. So this is how, let's discuss how we can do all these operations here. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video.